Estás escuchando Conversaciones de Altura.
How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. We are already recording.
Oh, okay. So I can tell you that I took mushrooms to get my tires changed today.
Yes, you can. Wow. So you are on mushrooms now.
Yeah. Well, just that was earlier. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's always some.
Yeah. How many grams did you take?
Oh shoot, I don't know. I didn't measure it. My friends make this really nice one called Louis Vuitton, and it doesn't take much, but it's really good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It it's been a long time for me since I ate mushrooms, like maybe 8 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
Oh, I know, man, but I want to do it, but I'm kind of I don't want to say scared, but I am, you know.
I don't know. It puts me back in touch with like what we talked about last time with the with that feeling of what I got in Peru and stuff. You know, it's just puts a nice glow on the day. Puts your head in the right place if you do it right.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. So that's like a common thing for you to do mushrooms like on a daily basis or
Yeah,
microdose.
yeah. Usually, I did a heroic dose not too terribly long ago, and I thought I'd just done about a quarter ounce, which would be was that actually from selling weed 7 grams. I thought I was at 7 grams, but it turned out I did 13.3 grams. They told me afterwards. Ate them on
No
hot dogs.
shit.
Yeah, ate them on hot dogs in the Appalachian Mountains by Shelton Laurel, and it was middle of bear mating season, and we got hit by a crazy storm. And I didn't really know these guys. I just moved to Asheville when it happened, so we were camping out, and then that was a great. Like it wasn't too much. I mean, it was heroic in the amount, but I still felt like I kept it together more than I thought I would.
Wow, that sounds super interesting because for people who doesn't know, heroic dose is like 5 to 6 grams. So you did two heroic doses.
I didn't know. I just kept putting them on hot dogs, and they split them up 3 ways, and so the guy who grew them knew how much were in each one. But it was a perfect setting minus the severe thunderstorm that hit us and the bear mating season part.
Wow, that's super. I don't want to say dangerous, but it kind of is. Like bears are. You don't want to fuck with bears.
No, no, oh no. I would not like to fuck with a bear. And I was sleeping in a hammock, a very wet hammock. I was just right
Wow,
for I was just right for the picking when I finally got to sleep.
wow. So did you get any downloads from doing that? Like insights? I mean, you don't have to talk about the insights, but did you get anything? Yeah, insights.
No, I wouldn't say I did in some ways, but I wouldn't want to go into some of those. But there were two people that were kind of the people with me. They were a little bit more out there than I was, so I was kind of being mindful of where their barefoot asses were running off into, and shit, and had to rescue a guy out of the sticks a couple of times, and yeah, one guy thought he was being chased by something, and of course he ran right to us after he thought he was being chased. I was like, oh, thanks a lot, but but yeah, it was more. It was very amazing how much everything lit up. It was like daylight. Like even like when I'm being out there, it seemed like daylight. I could see everything, even though it was pitch dark.
Wow. It must be fascinating to do that in the woods, like especially in the area that you live by.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
looks
yeah.
beautiful.
Well, my friend who I went with, his wife is a park ranger, or ex-wife now. She worked for the U.S. Parks. I mean, and she actually would be on TV telling people about forest fires that were going on and explaining to the news and all that. But she was the one that warned us about the bear mating season going on when we were there. We had already decided to go before she told us that.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, we don't need your advice.
Yeah,
We know what we're doing.
we did scare
Wow.
the hell out of some Appalachian Trail hikers, though. I will tell you that much, because we were right off of the trail. So there were a lot of people that were way more prepared for being out there than we were.
Yeah. Well, it must be, like I said, it must be fascinating to do that at least once, like to experience the mushroom trip in the woods, because probably, I mean, you probably talk to like the plants and the
Oh
trees
yeah,
somehow,
totally,
right?
totally, totally. But it would have been a lot different if I would have been by myself, out in the woods by myself. I think that would be more of a way to do it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
To not
because
get
you
into, because then you start getting into everybody else's heads, you know.
Yeah, have you had that experience where you're like tripping with people and you somehow either connect with them so much that you feel their vibes or what they're going through somehow?
Yeah, of course, energy transfers from, you don't need that to know that energy transfers between people and animals and everything. If you believe that everything is all connected and a very, I believe everything is connected. So yeah, it's easy to transfer energy. It's important for me to keep bad energy. People that try to be helpful, but sometimes people can put it's contagious. When people have a bad attitude and that energy is on the negative side, and it'll just never turn around no matter what you do, because it is contagious, and it also, I think, it gets worse for people that are like that. It's this kind of a echo chamber. It just keeps getting worse and worse, and if you don't take care of it. You know.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I have felt something similar. And it can be scary because sometimes you're like tripping out and you start feeling like, okay, this is not mine. Whose energy this is, right? And it takes you out from your personal journey.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think just people should be honest about it. If you're going on a journey, then you're going on a journey, and you should be true to that. But if you just want to have some drinks with your buddies and take a little bit of mushrooms for some laughs and see some colors, I think everybody just mushrooms can be used for whatever anybody wants to use them for. But having an intention and sticking to it while you're on it is a totally different experience. I think both are good. Just like depends on what you're trying to get out of it.
Yeah, for sure. So do you have or do you write intentions before you trip?
Well, I'm sorry. What was that?
Yeah, do you write intentions? Like, do you have any intentions before you eat mushrooms?
Yeah, of course. Only if I plan on doing that. If I'm microdosing, it's not really like that. I don't really measure stuff, so I don't know about microdosing. I just do what looks good to me, whatever's calling to me from the bag.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No,
yeah. But yeah,
no,
the
sorry.
intentions in general should be very vague, is what I've found out, and it will take you there or it won't take you there. But you don't want to be real specific. You just it could be something like, how can I get the eye of an eagle of a predator, so I can do better in my life and hunt
Mm.
down the things I want. It could be whatever your intentions are, but I don't know. Some people go want to figure out what happened with their childhood.
Yeah,
I
for
know.
sure.
I
Yeah.
know. I
I-
wouldn't want to do that.
yeah, me neither. Sometimes I think that I have some shit deep inside of me that I don't know if I'm prepared to open the door and see what's up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, there's a lot of freedom that comes with the whole with the DMT when you have a death experience, because it really kind of prepares you, I think, mentally for, like, I don't like the dying part, but the death part I'm not scared of. You know.
Yeah. I hear you, man. I feel you, and I do agree that truth gives you freedom. Like knowing what's going on with you, like 100% gives you freedom for sure.
Yeah, yes.
Have you tripped before creating music or recording music? Like, okay, or having the intention of, okay, I'm gonna write an album, and I want a journey before that. Has that happened?
Yeah, my last album that I put out, I have two sides. I have the ripe side and the rotten side. And on the rotten side, that was stuff that I was writing for Butthole Surfers at the time when we were talking about doing a record. And so I started on some of that stuff. And I was definitely doing a lot of mushrooms when I was coming up with some of that stuff. And not an overload, but it was fun to do that. The ripe side. I'm sure I did. I do them regularly, but I didn't have the same intention of writing with them. It was just more of just my daily life. So that's more on the
Right.
ripe side. The ripe side, because I was working with other people on that stuff, so it was different. But on the rotten side, when I did all the basic tracks of it, that was just me. So
Okay.
I could do it that way. When I'm working with other people, I respect that, and
Yeah.
unless we're all doing that or playing that game, which I know people that do, then you know. But to me, it's like you can do it before and prepare yourself for when you go in there to work with other people.
Right. So we're talking about Grow a Pair, your latest album that you just released, right?
Yes, that is correct. Yeah, it just came out about a month ago.
I love it, man. I've been listening to it.
Thank you.
I think you compose an amazing album. Everything sounds the way it should sound.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, it was 5 years in the making total. I
Yes.
mean, I didn't plan for it to be that way, but when I decided I was going to make it more like two albums in one, that kind of was what when I got my ass back in gear to finish it up. So I had like a lot of different styles, obviously, put together, and so I had to figure out in my head how I was going to compartmentalize all that. My wife
Right.
just came home. But yeah, so that was uh, yeah, it was really freeing because at first I thought I needed to do two complete albums, and I didn't really want
Mm,
to. You know, I kind of wanted it to be two different experiences. You know, because it's put on LP, so there's not supposed to be a side one and side two. But if people digitally download it, it goes in. It starts with the with a certain side, the rotten side,
mm,
and so you know that could people that like certain kinds of music might be thrown from that and not get to the other part if it's the first time listening to it, or not even know
right.
there's another part to it, and vice versa. So, but anyways, it was set up to if you're in the mood for one side, you listen to one side. If you're in the mood for the other side, you know, like one if you want to do mushrooms, the other one if you're trying to get laid.
Yeah, that's a very good way to look at it. I don't have vinyl. Is that how you say vinyl? Like turntable. I don't
Oh,
collect vinyl, so I
vinyl,
listen
yeah.
to it. Yeah, I listen to it from start to bottom, and it blew me away because it doesn't sound like fungus chewy. Chai,
Right, yeah,
and I
yeah.
appreciate that in musicians that you can still make it sound like it's Pincus but different.
Yeah, I was kind of like that was you know I think there's something to be said about establishing your own sound before you get established with playing with other people, and that way it's I don't know it's kind of fun to do that. And I think with my banjo songs, I always thought you know in my head that a band might want to you know cover with some of these songs like add more stuff to it. But this is how I would do it if you know like I said on before on stuff that my two solo albums, like after I die, people can be like, "Oh man," while they're drinking coffee in the morning, I wish Pincus was here and played me a song on his banjo, and they could just put that on. There you go. It's just very intimate, just me and whoever's listening, and the other stuff is more, I think I like all kinds of music, so it's nice to combine all the stuff. And I think the newest one is definitely more. It's a good summertime album. It's got a lot of things, and people will be together and might be in the mood for hearing one or both sides, and sharing it with other people while they're together.
Yeah, and you mentioned that some of these songs were supposed to be for butthole surfers. So, did you start recording this album from the scratch, or did you already have some, I don't know, some recordings and you just added things? How did that work?
I started from scratch on side Rotten, and then on except for there's one song Mohair Glasses that it was a rehash of a song that I'd done with my band Daddy Longhead, and
Mm.
but I did a totally different version of it, and nobody can probably understand what I'm saying. That's why I even put the lyrics
Uh,
on the sleeve for the vinyl, so people could actually like understand some of that nonsense that's going on. I think some folks kind of like that old. That's why the LP the vinyl is so nice, because people can actually hold on to it, see what, to get some artwork, to give it some context, get the lyrics off of it. I feel bad for all the people that didn't grow up with that. That just were
oh
into just
yeah.
single MP3s or whatever that were coming out, or just a video single or any of that kind of stuff. Yeah, but it's So I think it's a lost art. Maybe it's coming back. Cassettes kind of
Yeah.
came back for a minute, and then they went away again. But I like the
Yeah.
cassettes because you can't really bypass the songs, that quickly. I mean, I remember how fast it seemed when they had the auto stop. If I had
Yeah.
my cassette, to find that the quiet spot, and all of a sudden, boom. And then we started using like DAT tapes, and the DAT tapes were so fast. And then we were recording onto little computers and
Yes.
CDs and stuff. And so yeah, everybody, like, the whole experience has changed. The whole idea of patience and being forced to listen to the whole album,
Yes.
instead of just getting one song picked off of it. Oh, thank you, baby. She
Yeah,
made me a
I
very
did.
tiny cup of water.
Oh, nice. Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Wow. So, yeah, it's interesting because I agree with you. Like, a lot of young people didn't get to experience the vinyl thing, or just starting to experience it. Like, you when you put a vinyl, you have to listen to the whole thing and then stand up and turn it
Yeah.
around and play this, the second or the other
Yeah.
side rather.
You're a participant. You're a willing participant. You're cooperating with
Yes,
the.
for sure, man. And it's cool to hear that you have that mindset in going into creating an album. Like, okay, I know this is going to be enough for side A, and I have enough songs to do side B,
You
and
can
then
only
create art. Yeah.
Yeah, you can only put so much on it, and also you have to, like, in the mastering aspect of it, you have to have the songs with more low end at the beginning of the side, and the one, because you lose your low end towards the end of the record, and so there's an art to putting, mastering that together. That's what Kramer at Shimmy Disc, whose label I'm on, that's what he gets paid for most of the time, is mastering.
Mm.
Definitely not getting paid for my record. but,
Yeah.
but he's got really golden ears, and he's got his own peculiar way, like we all do. But he's so much fun to work with. As far as just the way he communicates with the people that are in the room, it's totally
Yeah,
different experience. But it's
for
such
sure, man.
such golden ears, and the album I did with Mike from Tall Tall Trees, that one he was actually in the room with us producing it, and it just came out like nobody's business. I was so happy with that production quality and all that stuff was really, most of it was acoustics, acoustic banjos. We did, we used our effects and stuff, and most of that was in between songs and everything. We didn't, he didn't like the way the amp sounded with all that stuff, so we did a lot
Mhm.
of actual, they were affected afterwards or made to sound a certain way, and blended in with some of the droney stuff that we had. So it was just like he'd ask us to drone in certain keys and do some sounds, kind of direct us with it. And it was like I came in with a lot of the songs that are on my Grow a Pair. I was going to use for me and Mike doing stuff, and that's why it was kind of like stuff that was for two people at least to play, or maybe a band, and open it up to that. But when Kramer heard my songs, they were too songy for him. He didn't like. He liked that we each had some that we wrote that were on there, but he didn't like I had the song "Baby Back," which is the last one. And that one was we had done a jam thing, and I went home and wrote lyrics. And before he woke up, me and Mike did vocals on it with my lyrics, and he came in and he was so disappointed with that that I had made a song with those lyrics on it, and he was like, "I don't want this to be a joke album." I'm like, "What's so funny about it, man?" But he said, "We'll put it on your solo record." And I was like, "Yes, it will be on my solo record." So I kind of went in with some of those songs, and still with the intention of playing them with people, but making more of what I thought we were doing when we first started out on that journey. That side right. So that's where a lot of that stuff came from.
No, for sure.
One
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
no, go
songs
ahead.
was a 30-second song because my buddy had my friend Britt BB. He had a seasoning that he lives up in the Panhandle and Amarillo, Texas area. Sorry, and so he had this rub that he called BB's Cowboy Spice, and he wanted me to do a jingle for it. So I did the jingle. I had a lot of fun with it, and the guy that he said. The guy was doing his website thought it was awful. It was not what he pictured at all. And so again, I ended up I was like, "Do you mind if I put it on my record?" Because he liked it. And so he gave me the approval. So that was actually going to be a little jingle for my friend's seasoning.
Oh wow, that would have been very cool though.
I think so. And he was like, "Maybe we'll get another band to do it, do the song." Somebody that was had all polished and stuff. But it turned out that somebody else had used the name Cowboy Spice, so he had to change the name anyway. So we just left it at that. I'm glad it made
Okay, I
my
see.
record. I just pictured like we had this commercial here when I was growing up, Chuck Wagon, dog food. I think it was what was it, Alpo? And they had the little Chuck Wagon, and the dogs would be chasing it. Little tiny horses with the guy, like old Western
Yeah.
style. And he'd be going into the cover with the dog chasing it and stuff. And that's kind of what I was picturing in my head.
That's so
I don't know
interesting
why.
to.
Was
Well,
that?
well, that gives you, that inspires you, right? Like to have those images
Oh
and to
yeah.
create
It doesn't
music.
happen. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does happen, it makes things easier. I guess it does happen a lot. Like yeah. I mean, I was never a train hopper, but I wrote a song on there, oogling, because I know a lot of people that did, and so I kind of had to I had to kind of put on like I don't know, put myself in their shoes best I could. So I did have visuals of it, but I'd never done it before. That was a fun one to do because of me and Dale from the Melvins, when we'd be hanging out, smoking weed and stuff. He, Big John, rest in peace, our sound man. He would always come by and go, "What are you two oogles up to?" And that's a derogatory term for train hoppers.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
So
I
yeah, so
have.
oogling is that's where oogling came from.
Oh, okay.
Hold on for 1 second. Hey,
Yes,
Camille,
yes, of course.
Camille, Jefferson's outside. Oh, so he can come in, I guess. The dogs are gonna go. My son just drove in, and I hadn't seen him in a while. He just drove in. He lives about 2 hours away, so he rolled in. I told him not to call because I'd be doing this if he came in at around 3 o'clock. So I saw him pacing around outside. He probably
Oh,
doesn't.
that's cool. That's cool. Do you want us to maybe reschedule, or are you okay, buddy?
No, I'm okay. Yeah, we'll be fine.
Okay. Going back to what you talk about tall trees and having some songs not going into that album, I can see the song 1111. That can be a tall trees song, right? Was that
Yeah,
supposed to be on that album?
yeah, that was one that I'd written because we talked about doing some percussive stuff on the record and making it having percussive stuff on the Butthole Surfers record. And so that one I actually used all healing frequencies that I could
Mm.
with sine waves on them, and it was done in 432. I just wanted to experiment with sounds, and I used the sine waves to make binaural. I don't know if you know what binaural
Beats.
beats
Yeah,
are.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I did that and tried to create that with all the frequencies, and that's why they blend in and out with the double drum part that's going on. So that's a little bit more of a meditative song. That's actually gonna be my next video that's coming out, but it's gonna be the album version, which is I kind of grew fond of, which is only about I think like uh, 2 minutes and 50 seconds as opposed to the full on 7.5 minutes.
7 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, but I mean, it serves its purpose for that. If someone wants to download that one song because they want to have a meditation for that long, there's no, to me, when you put that one on really loud and sit in the back of the room, or if you don't have headphones on, it still achieves that effect of kind of feeling like the inside of your head is clearing.
Yeah, I was tripping out on that song last night. I was high as a kite. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give it a try. I was like,
That's the best way. Yeah.
yeah. So how did that sound or the drone, so to speak, part is not the bass. You made it on a computer. The
Uh, Oh yeah, those were all sine waves that were built into
okay,
my
okay.
console. So I can dial in sine waves, which is the purest form. If people don't know of a sound signal, it's the most pleasing theoretically sound. Sawtooth is the distortion and all that. So these are sine waves, which are like kind of like a figure eight kind of thing going, but the long way. And there's no jagged edges on it. And so that's why I did those. And then binaural beats are when you put them a few frequencies apart from each other, depending on what you shoot, what alpha waves or whatever waves you're going for, when they're slightly off, and so they vibrate between each other. And when you listen to a binaural beat and one if you're just listening to the sine waves by themselves, one ear will have one and one will have the other one theoretically, and then your brain will try and correct it to bring it together, which is a certain way of getting your brain to kick in, which I like.
Yeah, I'm really into the binaural beats, and I've been listening to I think it's like the 40 hertz binaural beats, and that makes you focus because there's like a scientific explanation that I of course don't quite understand, but
Uh,
it's been useful.
I use it when I'm traveling and stuff, especially if I'm on planes, and when I'm about to get off the plane, I'll try and get into more focus. Like I'll bring myself down because it almost sounds like plane engines, anyways. And I'll put the
Yeah.
binaural beats on and kind of find that soothing spot. And then as I start getting closer to where I'm going to be at, just raise up the signals to get more to the focus level.
Oh, okay, I see. So who recorded drums on that song?
I played those drums, and I played all the drums on that side. But
Okay.
I did it. Some of it on I had really good drum sounds, but I had some sensors on my drums, and I was sending the signal on 1111 to my computer, and it was replacing it with these beautiful drum sounds that I have, and so that's how I did a lot of that stuff on there.
Okay, so were there two drums? So did you record two
Yeah,
different drum beats?
yeah, I did two different drum beats, and then I put those together. So that's why it's looping, but it's they kind of come together in a different way. It was two different live recordings that were looped in to give it more of a trance type of thing. I think the bass was played many tracks on bass on that. I don't know why. Was played all the way through, so I just wanted to get a little bit of the variances, and then the sine waves, of course, are changing the whole time, and then some delays thrown in for the percussion on the drums and stuff, but nothing to try and grab your stuff away too much. I did have some synthesizer stuff on there from Sam Coombs from Quasi, and he played the low end parts and the synthesizer parts with John Spencer and the
Oh
Hitmakers.
wow.
Yeah,
Oh
that's where I
wow.
met him. I was touring with the Melvins, and me and Sam hit it off. And I asked him if he would do that. He's all over the Side Rotten part too. He would take mushrooms and listen to what I sent him on mushrooms, and
That's the way to do it.
yeah. So we were on the same wavelength. He just came through here with Quasi, and we sat outside. It was a beautiful day. A good catch up with him. Finally got to
Oh
give him
wow.
the album. Yeah.
Well, was that the more complex song to do on the album?
No, not at all. No. I don't know what really would have been. I would say, I had probably it was different on Side Right because I had musicians to talk to instead of me doing the stuff,
Mm.
or so it was a little different. That's where you get into like what I was talking about with Kramer, is the communication part of it, and
Yeah.
trying to figure out. Some people are like, "What, you want some vanilla on that? You want some?" You got to get in their head of what they want to do and what they do. And I had Mike did a part on used an instrument on a song that I wanted him to use on a different one, and I want because he got me reversed because he played on Side Right, but he got what I said reversed, and I actually liked what he ended up doing for me. I was there when he did it. I was just like, yeah, go ahead. And I was like, no, actually, I wanted that on the next song, but it turned out good, and we ended up flip flopping, and
Oh wow.
it worked out good. Sometimes you get those happy surprises. And I had my pedal steel guy that I brought out. We just smoked a bunch of weed and had him out there for one day, and I just kind of let him go at it, and because he knows what he's doing. And then I just kind of found what I liked and pieced it together to fit the song. He didn't remember which
Wow.
songs he even played on when I
Typical. So, how do you like? I bet I mean, it's different when you do a solo album and you don't, like you mentioned, you don't have any extra voices that tell you you can go this way or this is too much meat. How do you handle that when doing a solo album as opposed
That's
of
the
doing?
worst. That's the worst part. The worst part of being a solo is you got to tell yourself, "Yeah, that's good. That's good enough. Let's leave that alone right there." There's dogs barking in there. That's actually cool. I like that. It's you don't have anyone to tell you when the song's over, or if your lead sucked, or whatever. Nothing. And so no feedback. And my wife, bless her heart, has to listen to all of it, and she's sick of me playing the same parts and all that stuff. I can't get an actual answer out of her. She's not going to know if it's good or not at that point. She just wants to take her ears out.
Wow, yeah. I was talking to Dale from Melvins
Yeah,
about the same thing because he released like a solo album at
yeah.
that time, and he's like, okay, the way I do it is either I ask Toshi Kasai, who you know,
I love
uh,
Toshi.
yes, he's the best, and Dale's wife. He's like, I asked my wife, and if my wife doesn't like it, I'm like, okay, maybe this is
Yeah,
not the
Maureen.
right thing to
Maureen.
do.
It's got to pass the Maureen test.
Yeah, yeah. But I bet it's different, man, because your ego is like right there, like, okay, no, I can show off my skills, but you have
Yeah,
to be
yeah.
like, okay,
Well,
no,
it's
I
it's a
have to
known
calm down.
it's a known fact that men will do like difference in their well, I mean, let's talk, we're in the 2000s now, that people of the male that associate themselves with the male persuasion, and when there's females around, will perform at a different level than they would if it was just a couple of dudes hanging out. And that's like on the dirt bike track or whatever. People would do like something they wouldn't usually do and fuck themselves up because they got somebody out there. I bet that's probably the similar way for a lot of people that are creating in front of someone that admires them, or they
Yeah,
hope
I know for
admires,
sure.
or hope that they hope admires them.
Yeah, I mean, I bet I bet you have to be. You also have to be very careful to whom you show your music before you release it, right? Like you can't listen to
Yeah.
to everybody's opinion.
Yeah, mixes are a lot like that. It's hard to go and play mixes that when you just want to hear it on a different system and see where you're at, and then you play it for somebody else and they think you don't know what you're doing. That's
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes you just got to dial your system in by listening on different stuff. And my 1991 F-150, as much as I love that thing, I cannot hear the radio over the truck itself. So it's not
Yeah.
it doesn't really do me any good for figuring out mixing.
So you, from what I read in your Bandcamp, you mix the album, right?
Oh yeah. Well, this last one, uh, me and Kramer mixed it, and he wanted to make sure that we did that together. That was a big thing for him.
Mm,
That because well, usually he does mixes himself, but we did them together. There was a couple I did by myself, and there's a couple that he did by himself uh, that were on the right side because I didn't have the with the live drummer at the other studio. I run a different system. I have Pro Tools and he has Logic, and so oh, actually, we ended up mixing one of them here. Yeah, so he did one of them at his place, I believe, without me over there and sent it to me. And of course, it sounded great. We did hear things a lot different, like on the song "16 Hands High." I had to me it was I pictured uh, an expedition on some donkeys heading out to get peyote in the middle of the desert, and I heard but to me like the horns were way off in the distance, and the harmonica was way off in the distance, and he wanted me to bring everything up, and it definitely turned out different having someone else involved in it, just because he didn't have that original
right.
vision that I had, but when he knew that these tracks were on there, he was just listening to the tracks, and of course they were cool. But like I was going for an effect of to put you in a place, and he was like, "You got to turn that up. You got to turn that up. That sounds great. Turn it up." And then I was like, "Well, maybe I should turn it up. I don't know." So I think John Kay, the guy who did Ren and Stimpy,
Oh,
that fella. I read an article a long time ago by him, and it was basically about too many cooks in the kitchen. And it's like when I grew up with Bugs Bunny, it was one thing, and then Looney Tunes became totally this thing that was unrecognizable to me, and it was like 12 guys sitting in one room, or 12 people in one room,
yeah.
and they were all going at it with each other, like, okay, well, you can do this and this, but we can't do that with the hand because that might offend these people in this country, and this thing, like you don't know, they have lawyers for all that shit, and water it all down so where it has no life to it whatsoever. And John
Right.
Kay was saying that Ren and Stimpy was all his. That was like he was piloting the boat. He was doing everything. He was the captain. There were no other cooks, and that's why you got what you got. And so I think that's like that's kind of yeah. It's a good way to look at art. I think when people collaborate, it can be fun, or it can be eye opener. Like I learned a lot by the way he does mixing and the way he does recording. And I've talked with Paul from the Butthole Surfers about it because they've worked together. And Paul's the guy that saves everything, every take, everything that's in there. He'll save it all. Kramer will get rid of it. He's like, I don't like that. He'll just get rid of it. He's like, oh wait, whoa, oh, it's gone.
Well, that's a dangerous way of working, but an
It is.
effective one.
But everybody's got their own thing, so it's always good to be exposed to other things. I try and keep my mind open. I mean, I
Oh,
went to
for
school.
sure.
I went to school for recording back in 2000. Right when I
Ah,
was there, I was in Arizona at sound school when the Twin Towers got hit. That's all I can remember when I went. Other than that, I can't remember dates worth of crap.
yeah.
But that was when I was out there, and I I wanted to learn the physics of sound. I'd already been recording, but I didn't really know you could get phase off of one microphone and stuff like
Mm.
that. And I wanted to learn cool techniques. And I brought Rupert Neve, who builds Neve consoles, he lived in Texas, and I wrote him a handwritten letter, and he came out to our school and gave us two amazing seminars, one for the students and one for the teachers, and he came. It was amazing to hear his stories and to hear like the guy who did the Beatles record, George Martin. He he's told them that our ears only supposed to be able to hear to 20 kilohertz, and after that it's bonus stuff. But most people can't even hear up that high anymore. So this guy was saying that there was a slight bump at 54K, I believe, which is like, so far out of the league. And Rupert said, "Send it to me, I'll check it out." And he put it on the table. Sure enough, there was a bump at 54 or whatever it was, somewhere way out of the audible hearing
Yeah.
range. And so there are people out there with golden ears, and that's why CDs are so tough to listen to for a lot of people, because if a cymbal crashes and it goes over the peak of what the frequencies can be contained, it comes back as a non-musical sound. It comes back as a click that's up in your supposed inaudible part of it, and that's why they get away with it. And they're called aliases. And but some people hear those things, and like they don't know they have golden ears. It's just they can't listen to a CD. It's just of certain kinds of music, anyways. It's too tough for the ears. Also, they take a staircase looking wave because it's taking pictures, 44,100 pictures every second. So it's not a straight line like we were talking about a sine wave. It's a stair step. Then they have to fill it in with noise to make it a smooth sine wave. And so every company had different kinds of digital noise that they would throw in. I preferred Tascam over Alesis. And the DA88 sounded better than the ADAT to me. But that's like studio nerd shit. But to me, it's really important trying to. That's why I like albums. Buzz can't stand albums. He won't buy them. He sells probably more albums than anything else he sells, but he won't listen to them. He prefers a CD or an MP3.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it depends. Some people don't like the noise, and they don't like the fact that the low end is at one place and not at the end of the album. But that's again part of the fun of it, is like in the mastering, is figuring out what your order is going to be and how you can. I wanted to end with a different song that I actually ended with, but on there originally, but it had so much low end, I had to put it in a different spot. So just to make it the best it could sound.
No, for sure. And I appreciate when I hear someone like you talking about how much or how deep you went into creating your album, your music, your art. Because
Yeah.
sometimes musicians are like, okay, I just play guitar, I just play drums, bass, record it, and then I send it to someone who knows what they're doing by mixing it or mastering it, and that's okay, that's fine. You don't have to know the whole thing, you don't have to have those skills. But when you talk to someone like you that does have those skills and go deep into doing what you're doing, that I appreciate, man. And you
Okay.
and the last album, I really love it, man. I mean,
Thank you. Yeah, I mean,
it,
to me, I think if I always felt like I always have like I have $100 bass that I played for years, and I had the case that I had built for it was it was 400, and I got rollers on it because I needed a flight case. It's $450 for the case, $100 for the bass guitar
for the
itself.
bass, yeah.
And when I told the guy who built it, he had done previous stuff for other musicians, and I said, "Yeah, I can't believe I just spent $450 for a $100 bass." And he goes, I built a case for a guy with a guitar with a hole in it," and he was talking about Willie Nelson, of course. But so
Wow.
it just depends on what Like to me, I thought that I had to have the finest gear. I bought fancy basses. I bought like fancy amps and all this stuff because I thought I was supposed to do that because I was a bass player. And then I fell in love with low tech and just going back to stripped down and a passive bass and I want the bass to push the signal through what I want it to go through, whether it be the amp or the pedals. And so kind of hear what you're saying, but I'm kind of like uh, uh, Luddite when it comes to a lot of gear stuff. I'm not so much on my banjos. I'll get a little more high tech, but on my bass
Yeah.
stuff, I thought that I needed this and that to compete. Like, oh, we're playing these stadium shows, I better get some other gear. And I still like my Flying V basses that I had Electrical Guitar Company made. Those are a replica of my $100 bass that I had, because
Oh
I just
wow.
wanted to play that bass.
Wow, I didn't know those are replica of your 100 bass. But that's something that I've heard recently, that you don't need the fanciest guitar or the fanciest amplifier to make a great album.
No, I think people think they can Pro Tools a great album, and you can't. You got to use it like a reel of tape, and just you don't. When I worked with Danny Barnes on Keep on the Grass, he produced that one, and I played live, and then he took it home and mixed it, and I love what he did with it. But he did not want anything at all on there. No compression, no reverbs, no anything other than what I was doing with my pedals and the amp that I had. And then he took it home and did what he did to it. And I like that. I've kind of been more of that style myself. I used to try and do too much to stuff before I put it down onto the tape or tape being computer now. But now I put it down dry, best I can get it, and then I add stuff to it afterwards. And especially if you're working in the digital realm, you start working with things called latency, which is when everything that you do digital actually takes it. It moves it. It will move your signal away. You can hit stuff that's supposed to erase it, but it never really does. You have to physically go in and look at how many frames it's moved. But after you do it a bunch of times, you start getting all these things that don't sound right, phase issues and things that you don't, all of a sudden things go away that used to be there, like low end and stuff like that. So I've really enjoyed learning from Danny about just holding off on that stuff and don't play with all the toys at first. So I've been in the studios and everybody wants to play with toys the whole time.
Yeah.
It's like when you go to a doctor and you're sick and he doesn't give you anything for it because there's nothing he can do. You feel like bad, so he wants to give you some penicillin anyways. Here, just take this, even though it won't help you. But no mom wants to bring the kid in and leave without the doc giving you something. I think if you go into a studio and you see all the toys, the engineer's going to be like, "Which toys do you want to use? Let's use some toys." They would hate it if you just walked in and be like, "No, just put me direct in, man."
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Because I mean, if you go to, it's like a law. Like if you go to a big studio and they have a lot of toys, it's like, okay, if I don't use them, I'm gonna finish my album knowing that I didn't use them. But you don't have to use them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like you don't have to use all the toys.
I have a buddy that I played in the band with, and it took so long to do anything. It was tough. But so it kind of ruins the creative mood when you do that too.
Yeah, for sure.
I think you can move a lot quicker if you're not worried about all that stuff. Sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah, I agree with you. So before I let you go, buddy, I've been um, watching some of your posts on Instagram, and you have like this church thing on Sundays. Is that
So,
can you talk us about that?
yeah, I would love to. I'm sitting in the schoolhouse right now behind the church, actually. This place used to have hypodermic needles in it, and had a lot of insulation from copper pipes and copper wire. And my wife came in and did a lot of the stuff inside. I did a lot of stuff outside. And the church is about 100 years old, and we. Long story of how we ended up getting it, but we ended up getting this, and we had to find the guy who owned it, and we were lucky enough to get something in this. If it would have been on the market, we would have never been able to get it, but because it wasn't really for sale. So we ended up with the schoolhouse and the church, which eventually we'd like to make into a house and /studio. but I had some friends in town, and we jam in there on Tuesdays. Like I like to call it the Taco Tuesday Jam because this was the Free Holiness Church, and because we came from Texas, we were like, well, now it's got to be the Free Holiness Church, and so that's where we got the name Free Holiness Church from. And so we do the Taco Tuesday jams in there, and we got we do nachos for the flesh and sangria for the blood, and sometimes
Nice.
tequila. But no, we've been working in there with got two drummers, two banjo players. Other than me, I'm playing bass. A piano player, a steel player, a guy that plays moog and stuff, and no guitars are allowed. And so anyways, we were making music for real. But we were making music in there because then we're in Asheville. It turned into like a jam band session.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like no, we're doing rhythmic shit. It's like Hawkwind meets Perubu kind of stuff. But
Oh, wow.
so yeah, maybe that'll be my next record with these guys. But we were jamming in there, and my buddy's Whiskey Dick, which I hope everybody checks out. They're from Hurst, Texas. Well, around that area, and they're a two-piece band, and their show fell through for Sunday in Charlotte, and they're like, "Hey, Pankus, we come out, visit, and we'll just we'll barbecue up and hang." And they sleep in the van if they need to. I was like, "Yeah, come on out." And then I was like, "Hold on, why don't we just set the church back up, and we put the pews back in order and get rid of a bunch of crap in there, and let y'all play a show for donations and sell some merch." And so it was a good way to give back to the folks who have let us live around here and been so nice to us. And it was good for them because they had a really fun day. And what else are you doing Sunday at 4 o'clock, out here? So a lot of people came out, a lot of fellowship. So that's the only part about church that was similar was the fellowship part. And then my buddies from Jacksonville saw that I did that, and they were coming through and had a day off, and they asked if they could do it. So we did another one. But I don't know how regular it will be. I kind of have an idea for the next one in October of what's going to happen. But until we tear that place down inside, we'll leave it the same outside and make it into the studio living quarters.
Wow.
We're gonna try and keep it going. So just to have some fun stuff. Last time we had a hot dog roller, some Jello shots. Someone brought out some watermelon. It's just nice. A lot of just camaraderie and fellowship.
Wow, it does look amazing, and it's something that now that you talk about it, it feels like I want to go there and to
Oh yeah,
experience the I guess the South US
it's so
part.
nice. It's so nice, and it's a really nice setting. You're always welcome here anytime, whether I got a show or not. You're welcome to be part of our Free Holiness community up here in West Asheville. But we love it here. It's probably our forever home. In fact, we like the church thing so much. We've even talked about building on a different part of the property just to sleep in something up top in a cabin up there overlooking the other side. The last time, I'm right down the hill from where you interviewed me last time, where I had that view.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Oh, okay.
I'm about 200 feet below that, and so our property actually borders that up on the top. So we do have that same nice view out that way in the wintertime when we need to. So if we move up there, then maybe we'll do more of a regular thing down here.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll
that
get a
would be
tax
awesome.
write-off and be an actual church.
Yeah, exactly. You can make your own church now.
I think our property taxes are $700 a year, so it's not like that big of a deal. So it would save us $700. I don't know. I could buy some weed with that.
Yeah, exactly. But if you become like a religion or something like that, you don't pay taxes, right?
Right. Yeah. Correct. It's a very strange thing, especially when you get to the really rich churches down in Houston, like when they when
Yeah,
they when they locked the doors and wouldn't let the flood folks in. It's like, oh come on, man.
yeah.
So
That was
anyway,
weird.
yeah. Strange times, man. Hopefully, there's flooding going on there right now. I know they won't see this now, but my heart goes out to the Galveston and
Yeah.
Houston community right now getting hit. I've been down to Matagorda, right where the main point where it hit. I did leave early because it was kind of nasty. But when you drive down to Matagorda, Texas, there's the Texas nuclear power plant on the way down. That's going in the river that goes right, empties right there. And there are, again, hypodermic needles down on the beach. And when we showed up, it smelled like pesticide really bad. And we're like, that's awful. And then when the pesticide wore off, there were mosquitoes the size of my thumb running chasing us over the dunes.
Wow. Yeah, you don't want to deal with those mosquitoes.
No, definitely not. But anyways, my heart goes out to them.
Yeah. Texas has a special place in my heart. Austin and Houston, they have a special place in my heart. I love those cities, especially Austin.
Austin, R.I.P.
Yeah, I know it's getting crazy there, right?
Yeah, I don't want to talk shit about Austin, but when I moved to Austin, people told me that it used to be cool, and that was 1986. And now I left about 4.5 years ago, and I was that guy. I was like, yeah, this place used to be cool.
It used to be cool.
Yeah. It's just generational. I guess people want different things, and when all the techies moved in and all that stuff happened, it's money gets what they want, and musicians usually find a cool place to hang out and have a community, and then they don't know how to do business, and then everybody, more people move in, and then people that do know how to do business move in, and they build all the places for everyone to live, and then more people want to come in because now there's an art community, and the original people that started it can't afford to live there, and then they all have to move and start it somewhere else.
Yeah, no, I that's what I heard about Austin, but I mean, I guess that's capitalism and all that, right?
Yeah, well, whatever it is, I don't know if it's even capitalism. I don't know. I'll have to read some books and figure out. I don't know what the fuck this is. I live in a shack behind a church, dude.
I just said that word because that sounds like it's capitalism.
Yeah. No, everybody.
But I don't even.
Everyone can relate to that.
For sure. Well, brother, it's been a pleasure talking to you again and sharing experiences. And please do it. Let's do it again. And hopefully, let's try to work out a Pincus tour in Mexico.
I'm so down with that. I think I'm ready. I think I got my kit together to where I can do that. Except for I'm going to have my stage show has changed. I'm going to have this special thing. I don't know if I'd be able to bring it down there. They probably look at me funny. But I got my album cover that my neighbor that I used to live in his house, he's making life-size 6-foot ball pairs for me that I can project on for this tour. So,
okay, well, I mean, we can make it happen. I've been talking to some promoters here. We can make it either you can come through California or Texas, and then maybe fly you from either, I think Tijuana, maybe have a show in Tijuana and fly you to either Guadalajara, Monterrey, and finish in Mexico City. We can plan it.
That'd be awesome. Maybe a package deal. I'd like find someone else to do it with, so maybe someone from down there, or or something that to team up with, or something like that.
No, for sure, man. There's a festival that just happened, like maybe 3 weeks ago, and it's Jergas. The name of the festival is Jergas. It's like a stoner, doomy type of bands, but they make it in San Luis Potosí, where the peyote grows in the desert.
Okay. Oh, dude, that sounds awesome.
That would be the perfect setting for you, and maybe do something surrounding that.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's always the way to do it, is to find some kind of cool festival and work your way to it and back,
Yeah, for sure, man. If not, we can make something happen.
Well, I would love it, man. I appreciate you, and thanks for taking the time to do this with me today for the second time. Hopefully
man.
I always feel like I ramble way too much when I'm talking on these things, but you're so easy to talk to, and I appreciate that.
Oh, thanks, buddy. Likewise, it's always a pleasure. And let's do it again, maybe after you come back from your acoustic tour with Boss and Treble.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you about the time he beat me up on tour. No, I'm kidding. I'm talking about in the future.
I'll try to come to one of those shows, maybe Texas.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Let me know.
Yeah, for
Great to
sure,
see you.
buddy.
Yeah. I used
Let's
to know
make it.
people in Austin.
I used to. Me too.
Yeah. All right, man. You take good care of yourself. Great talking to you.
Thanks, you too. Much love to you and your family, buddy.
Much love to you, brother. Right on. Take
Bye.
care.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye.